Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lighting Your Sunshine, where we like to shine a light within and empower ourselves. So today's intention is just that. I wanted to use the Disney Villains Oracle deck, and then the reason behind that is I truly believe deep at my core that, hey, the purple, I got the villain purple on. Yeah. I believe deep down at my core that every single baby is born pure and innocent. And so in a world of black and white and duality, no baby is just born evil. It is a product of their environment and the situations that they were dealt with as they grew up. And so, you know, depending on multiple factors, right? You could have a family and everyone have the same situation thrown at them and they all deal with it in completely different ways. And so what I think villains are just children who got dealt a lot, or adults, just a younger soul, a young soul who got dealt a lot, and it was kind of a bit too much for it to handle. And so I'm seeing like water, how water will bust through anything, just taking the path of least resistance. Whatever will help this discomfort go away right now is what I'm doing. And so sometimes that does lead you down the darker path. And we never know when that moment is, because it is a safety and survival mechanism when it happens. And so I do, at my core, believe that most villains really are just wounded children. So I wanted to use the villains deck, and then I wanted to use the flower therapy because I kept seeing the villains as like little rosebuds, because those are the children, right? They didn't get to blossom at the energy or rate or safety that they felt safe to unfold. I always see the scene and like there's like 10 words to say in like 1 second and it kind of comes out choppy. So I hope you guys are playing along and still picking up what I'm saying. But yeah, so I saw little baby rosebuds and they wanted to be grand. And instead of being grand, now they're in fear. And every time you're in fear, which most villains are, fear riddles their life. Either it be afraid of being forgotten, a fear of not having enough power and status, a fear of youth and beauty. Like, there's so many different reasons why these villains ended up there. So usually in most of these stories we go back to their youth, and their youth is like, oh, I can relate with that, that's like me. And then just one sideswipe happens, one bad breakup, one something, and it hardens them. It makes their heart go cold and not be able to accept that love, that unconditional love that ultimately they're probably owed in that first go round. Depending on the situation, right? A lot of us self-sabotage. Okay. I have 5 guides coming through right now. And they're not saying anything. They're just there. How many? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so let's just see what we have first. We have 2 swords. We have Cruella de Vil with the chariot. We have the snake from Jungle Book. Is that Jungle Book? The cartoon one. 3 of Cups. Robin Hood. Oh, thank you. Nobody told me. The guides did. I just came in this picture. And then we have 8 of Wands. So, what am I getting from this? There's only one major arcana card in this. Most of them are minor arcana. So whatever it is that helped, that sent this story on the villain timeline, it was something so gradual and subtle, right? If there was a lot of major arcana cards, it would be something that I'm seeing, like something coming, like your house got burnt down and you had to move, and all these, like something like that. But what they're saying is not many people have that story. With the Chariot, it's such a subtle thing. Here we have the Two of Swords, the Two of Coins, the Three of Cups. These are all like twos and threes and little things. And so I'm seeing that it's just something that has been so consistent every day, right? Every day you put on your shoe. Which one do you put on first, your left or your right? Like, it's little decisions like that, that over time, I'm almost seeing it become like a little uneven. And then it kind of just going to one side and leaning. Now we're leaning. So I say mix up these cards again and then tell the story. Oh, and I need 3 of these, but not yet. But can I pull them? No, not yet, they say. Okay. So, as I said, there was 5 guides that kind of came in. And I feel like 5 is a very significant number in that. 5 is, normally in numerology, 5 is the number of like change or chaos or disruption kind of thing, especially with villain energy, but I'm not getting that that's the significance of it. I'm feeling like 5 has to do more with strengthen. So there's a little bit of weakness or something, and that's what I just see, is like a strength in numbers. And so at one point when you weren't feeling your best, when there was a little bit of a break or a dent or something, when you couldn't make a decision, when you had a hard time knowing, do I go left, do I go right, because you're hurt and you know that where you are now just doesn't feel right, but you do know that you need to fix it somehow. I'm getting the intention was to heal, but really it was just to get this pain out. And as long as that was out, it mimicked the feeling of healing. And so in this instance, when you don't know what to do or decide, a lot of the time, now they're bringing up like a trauma bond. We do meet someone who has the same wounds and scars as us, and we get along with them. And that's what they showed me, as that 5 and that stability and that strength in that number. And it's like all of them kind of having each other's back because they know that they didn't have the support when they needed it. So to think of like villains as the bad guys, it's actually them picking themselves up from like a bad moment. And if you think about it, those are kind of like the people we've pushed out or cast as rude words like rejects or whatever, right? It's just like, we don't want to deal with you or tolerate you, or you've annoyed us, or you're something, you're too much, you're too little, you're too something. You're just not what usually society wants you to be in. They're the misfits. And so I think that's kind of cool to hear that they have that support system, because I really do think that everybody needs somebody. And even when you're in hermit mode, I think just knowing that you could reach out to someone is just enough. And so if you're in this place where you can't think or decide, they're telling me that someone is kind of on this path now, where it's like, usually these like little rosebuds and things happen when we're younger, and now that we're adults, we can kind of navigate and see how things went. But they're saying someone now is like, I don't know what just happened, but it's almost like you've lost your faith in people. That's what usually happens in these situations. Is this is the group that got pushed out, the outcast, and it's because a group of people who didn't accept them. I'm getting a little bit of bully energy as well, but that is because they weren't quite raised to deal with emotions properly. And as we said, this group has a trauma bond. So, not being able to make a decision, finding your group that you can connect and bond with. And it said, if you're not with someone, then the chariot kind of said, maybe it's for you to reach out and find a group. And I'm seeing someone be like, but I don't want to be a villain. I don't want to be whatever that is. And the only thing that makes this a villain different than a hero is something happened to the villain. They went on the exact same story, the exact same quest as a hero, and the villains didn't pick themselves up each time. At one point, they got bamboozled, and they took it as a loss, and that loss made them so mad because they look silly in public or something, and now they need to get even. Whereas the hero is just like, oh, that sucked, but like, you live and you learn. That's kind of, yeah. So, if you're feeling lonely, there is a group for you. There's those who have the same wounds as you. Because I'm getting someone is just so isolated and they don't even, their world's sad. I see someone very, very isolated, and every day they have negative thoughts, and they're the most meanest villains to themselves. And they're replaying past things, and I don't know if it's like you're mad at the past things and you want to be part of it, because what I kind of get is that you didn't want the past things and you left it, and so either or, it's still an open door. It's an open wound, they say. And so in order to heal, you need to stop the judgment right now and feel. The more and more you try to avoid it, the more and more you try to label it. And by label it, I mean have someone be accountable, that I accounted for 60% of this problem and this hurt, and they did 40, you know? And it's like, so therefore they're the ones who are the majority of the asshole. And it's not like that. You gotta pick yourself up and you gotta go again. The chariot is all about movement. It's wheels. And look, we all know Cruella de Vil in that scene. She's nothing is stopping her. She's going, which is nice from this scene, because this one was a lack of knowing where to go or how to think and where to feel, and being stuck and not knowing how to make a decision. So at least there's movement now. And that movement, as I was saying, I was like, I'm still concerned about being stuck and stalled. There is movement, and so there's the Three of Cups. There is a community, and that's where you're moving to. So anytime we're in this moment where somebody, I'm seeing like jocks making fun of like nerds or something like that back in like I'm seeing like high school movies and things like that, and them banding all up together. I think that's something that is just really missing here. What am I missing about this band of brothers energy for the villains? Because it is the Three of Cups. Like, here in this community, and it just must be a misjudgment, because like, this is a good community. They've got each other's backs. They support each other. They celebrate holidays, and they make sure that no one's ever alone, and they do everything. It's just, for some reason, they've got a darker side. For some reason, as much as they're this community that's like a healthy, happy community, because it is, there's wounds within them that they're not healing, that they've totally avoided, like plastered over, and it's like superficial. So I think that's why they bond to each other. That's what they're saying. Yeah, they bond so much is because I don't want you to feel how I feel. Which is funny because a lot of villains want you. It's vengeance. I'll get you, you know? So, with the snake. So I'm being brought to the scene, you know, when he like hangs from the tree, or is it in the chariot when they're taking the money, when he's with the Sheriff Rottingham, is that the name? The lion dude. Anyways, and he's like, that song is like, trust in me, and his eyes are all going like kaleidoscope, and it's like hypnotizing them. And so because these wounds within this community haven't been healed on the inside, at the soul level, on the personal level, there'll always be that little bit of mistrust within the group, within the community. And so that's why I was like, well, Spirit, I'm like, you're making this group seem like so ideal to like want to be a part of it. And in all my life, I've been repelled against those kind of things. There's a whole reading on that. It's gone. But yeah, so there's this mistrust. Can I trust? Can I not trust? And that will forever be within the group, in the back of their minds, because this unhealed wound is an open attachment pretty much to fear. And when you have fear, any all your demons work through you. And so I do see a little bit of the community kind of going, and this is the Eight of Wands, which is like quick movement, and so it's almost like everything could be peaceful at one moment, but a little bit of everyone doubts everyone, because at the end of the day, they really are villains, and they are about the money and getting themselves ahead of that pain, especially when you've decided you're not going to deal with your pain and you've put it in the rearview mirror. That's instantly put you into your villain character mode, and you'll forever be running from that challenge. But to be honest, without that plot, there would be no movie. Everyone would live very peacefully and happy. I was allowed to put all those away. Okay, so that's the energy that Spirit wanted us to kind of look within, that from our childhood as we are now adults. They said that it's something so simple that it's like one step off, a step. And so they're saying, think back to a wound that you had that was so like shocking that, you know, I don't know, I just see maybe people looking at you, or the pain being too much. It was too much of something. And everyone's story is different. And they're saying, remember that moment, and how did you heal from it? Because a lot of the times we really haven't healed. We've avoided. We drove away really, really far. Maybe some people went to a whole new country. I meant to say city, but country came out, and it was just like not dealing with it. La, 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 la. And so, yeah, it built up all this community. And at the beginning, it's great because you guys have the same wounds. And when you trauma bond, you know, you're like, it could be healthy if you guys work through it. You got to work on the healing. But what happens with villains, every time I say villain, I feel like I have to hold this. It's just so colorful and I like it. Whenever I deal with the villains, oh, that thought I got caught up in the colors. Okay, so this is healing for those little rosebuds. And the wounded, it's usually a wounded child. Especially if something happened to you as an adult. I do find I'm not gonna push my story and be like, you're wrong, you don't know your story, because that would be the whole not point of this channel, of this commercial. You know exactly you, but something happened to you as an adult. You might think that that's the triggering point, but usually, even if you peel back even more, it really will go back to childhood. And that childhood thing was something so innocent. It could be like, oh, can we watch my favorite movie? And then they'd be like, no, you have the worst taste in movies. And like, from that, you being like, I'm gonna make them watch all my movies. You know, you become your own little like villain. I'm picking movies because these are all movies. But that's the kind of energies, like, it's like a, not saying you turned evil as a kid, but it's something so little that was like, can I stay up for 10 more minutes? And they're like, no, go to bed. And you were like, I thought they were gonna say yes, you know? I don't know, it's something so simple. You go off to bed, you go do your own thing, but then the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time, that's what they say. So how can we look within these little flower buds of the villains that we've allowed to grow in our little heart space? That's okay. We all love The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. And you know what I was thinking when I got distracted from that one thought I was on, when I was like, I just love the colors. It was the purple and the green is Grinch color. So we do get off track and we do get fractured, but we do meet trauma bonds. And it's great when these trauma bonds come and we heal together and we work through it. But a lot of the time people get stuck at that. And if they see someone growing faster than them, they won't bring them back down. Or there's someone growing and they see that person and they know that they're part of the same tribe. So they dim their light because you're supposed to grow together. And that's sad. But let's see what the new cards are. We got open your arms to receiving. Take time for yourself and time to decide. And you know what? Mr. Monster needs some help opening the door. So I'm going to be right back. Oh, Cooper. Mr. Monster wants out. Alright, I'm not editing that. Okay, open your arms to receiving with eucalyptus. Take time for yourself and time to decide. I can't help but notice that there's a lot of time on this. And I think that that's the thing that happened when you were younger that you needed. You know how we're like, we needed to heal this, whatever this is. And then because we try to, move on from it really, really quick, pushed it in the back rearview mirror. If it was time that needed to heal, and it couldn't be avoided though. Like it just had to be there, that uncomfortable, like in your face floating memory, and just be there for a bit. And that amount of time, eventually you'd be like, you'd work through it. Whereas the other way was like time, I see like 20 years going back and it's like, I'm still here. So it says, enjoy relaxation activities that nurture the soul. So when you stop running and you stop running away from your problems, that's what I see, is it just catches up to you. That's why you need to nurture. A lot of these villains, they wanted to take things into their own hands. They usually want to take justice into their own hands. The only problem with them is they had not enough information. And if they had given it more time, they would have had all the information in the world. So wisteria. So wisteria, it's making me think of hysteria. And that's almost what the villains are. They get so caught up in the crown chakra, like the thoughts. It's just like this mind of whatever. It's the darker purple. It's not quite the lilac. It's just a little bit of darker, heavy We all love this color. It's vibrant, it's popping, it's really whatever we associate to it. But all Spirit said is to open your arms and receive the healing that wound or that situation had for you to teach. It was trying to teach you something, and maybe it was vulnerable and it was wounding, but they just said to feel it. I'm almost seeing a blister on the back of your heel. Okay. And they're like, every time you walk, you feel it. And then they say, by you wearing those shoes, you now understand that they're too tight and that they don't feel or fit. And so now you're going to go get bigger shoes or better shoes. And that's all that it was trying to tell you before, was something. So if you had just stood there in your peace, in your openness, open-heartedness, right? There's that Grinch. And then on the day the Grinch's heart grew. So what happens to the blister? Well, if you keep walking, you're just going to make it hurt more, right? And so walking, we're going to say running away. But if you stop and you rest, and it heals. So if you feel a little bit like you're an adult now, and you're like, when did I turn into, did you ever see that one meme? And it's like, I always thought I was a Disney princess, and then I turned out to be like a swamp witch or something like that. It was almost like that one. And that's just because we've had a lot of life experiences, and we've had a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes things have hurt us more than we care to admit. And our hearts are so sensitive and so delicate. And so sometimes when something traumatic happens, we can't deal with it in the moment, so we run away. And so when we run away, it's not a bad thing. It's just postponing the time that is needed to heal. For those who run away and never deal with it, I am happy to hear that there is community for everyone all the time, that no one is a lone island. So if you're feeling lonely, there's others who have been in the exact same situation as you. The only thing Spirit says is don't get caught up in the trauma bond of it. They're saying what are they saying? Just don't get caught up in the trauma bond of it. Because then I see that community starting to be suspicious of each other and being like, well, they only invited me to this because they wanted my money, or, oh, they don't, like, it's starting that stuff. And that will never be healthy. But let's face it, in most villains' story, it's because of trying to get back at something. So, rewind again. You're older now. You've turned into a little bit of a villain. Something has happened, and you've had experiences as well that when you were down on your luck, maybe you got sucked up into the wrong groups. And those groups have maybe tainted your trust in the world going forward or something. So many of us have so many stories that I could do 1 million readings forever and never run out of content ideas. That's just how diverse and different we are. And so, learn from your story, heal from your story. No, heal from your story, then learn from your story, and then come share your story, because Disney is so out of ideas. So maybe by you working on your wounds, you might be able to give them some new creative inspiration. So we'll leave it there. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.